Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Turn on in bed, turn on in life. I always talk about the connection between what happens in your bed and what happens in your life. Your bed is your recharging station, your sanctuary, and your secret weapon. It is the source of all things. This is where you can create your entire life from. Your bed becomes a microcosm for the greater picture of your life. As you connect and elevate in your bed, you'll find that you'll take that energy out into the world. As you feel more excited and alive in your genitals, you feel more alive and excited in your outer life. As men occupy their erections more, standing firm and powerful in their cocks and in their partners, they step out into the world wielding their potent masculine energy and strength. As he builds stamina and learns to go the distance and fuck her into oblivion, he also learns to take the world, bend it over, and fuck it to smithereens in the best of ways. He has more stamina and capacity in his workouts and his work. He becomes more dominant and confident. As women cultivate more juiciness in bed, they find that they flow more in their lives. They are more relaxed and easygoing, and they're able to go with the flow. She learns to accept her own radiance and beauty, magnetizing opportunities to her like she magnetizes her man to her pussy. As she dives deeper into the world of vaginal orgasms, her blueprint for life becomes bliss and ecstasy on the daily. No more struggling and straining to achieve things. Instead, she gets there through letting go and surrendering, just like she does to achieve the most intense cervical orgasms. Your orgasms are your greatest teacher. So these shamanic and rich, life-changing experiences take her to her own depths and show her that she can go deep and intense in anything and everything. She becomes unflappable. And so does their relationship. The couples become super powered. So not just the power couple, but the super power couple. Your bed and each other become your secret weapon. But this only happens when you are united in a deep way, when you are having regular, quality, gourmet sex. Marathon sex dates where you go deep, you metaphorically die and are transformed. That is the price of admission. You shed the old parts of yourself and emerge as a more clear, strong, radiant version of you. You harness the power of le petit mort, the little death and rebirth. This has the power to help cleanse you of all that you don't need and strip you down to your essence, and then amplify that and let it shine out into the world. If you let it. If you give yourself over to the power of the holy fuck. In today's episode, we are speaking with an all-star superpower couple who has seen miraculous changes in their outer lives as a result of diving deep into their sex life. We will talk about how their quickies went from 20 minutes to an hour, and how they went from having sex 1 to 2 times a week to having it 5 times, at least 5 times a week, and 2 to 3 hours at a time. We will discuss how she gets wet by giving him head, how her PMS, period symptoms, and skin issues cleared up as a result of being well fucked. We will discuss his epic shifts in his business, and my favorite quote from him, and probably the whole podcast, was, "Did I get that phone call today with an amazing job offer because of the cataclysmic sex we had last night?" All right. So, welcome, Barbara and Paul. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
So, we want to talk all about the superpower couple that you have become through your sexual journeying and transformation. And as we were chatting earlier, you made this great analogy about following your instincts and improvisation and liken that to jazz. So, let's dive in on that topic.
Okay. Um, so as we began this journey, we we're committed to this idea of, the gourmet sex date and spending, 2.5, 3 hours together. And that, it came, at first with, some expectations, and we had to kind of, figure that out. So there are things we wanted to try, there are things that we wanted to do together, and sometimes, it doesn't work out the way you planned.
Yeah. Well, at first we're like, I was like, what the hell are we going to do for 3 hours? Because I was just new to the concept. So I'm like, well, this sounds awesome. Let's give it a go. But I'm not, we're headed into uncharted territory here.
Yeah.
So,
So
And I think I'll just say, I think
yeah,
that's a common comment that people have. They're like, how do we have sex for 3 hours? How are we going to fill up 3 hours? I don't understand. And then when they really get into it, they're like, oh, now I get it. 3 hours can go by like the blink of an eye.
yeah, there's so
for sure.
many layers, there's so much going on. And so we, as these months have gone by, we've been, creating this sort of, this wonderful I don't know, palette, or, collection of, all different, it's, I don't know, cooking in the kitchen, throw all these different spices in,
The palette has expanded quite a lot, actually.
right. And so there's this quote that we really like, that resonates with us in other areas of life. And it's that, and we think it's Miles Davis. We're not, sometimes we argue about who said it, but I think it's Miles Davis. And he had this, incredible night with his band, and the band was just absolutely amazing. And he said it was transcendent. But he says, if you show up here tomorrow night and you try to do the same thing, you're all fucking fired. And that's because that's jazz. It's, you have to be in the moment, and you cannot go in and just try to force this, unnatural expectation. You have to be there and let this organic, beautiful,
Experience unfold.
exactly. And so that is what we have applied, and that's what we keep coming back to, is, because then we'll laugh and talk about it afterwards, sort of like, okay, what happened for you, what was that like, and oh, when this happened, what were you feeling, and we kind of break it down for each other afterwards, and we say that it's, that it's like jazz.
Well, yeah, that transcendent night. I was brought up playing classical music. So here's an exact thing, and play it exactly like this and do this. And, when I was a teenager, I was like, I've got to expand on this. I want to play rock and roll. I want to play jazz. I want to do all this other stuff. And my teachers didn't know anything about that. So I just became like this self-taught improviser. And I just didn't realize until recently how much I could apply that kind of creativity to our sex lives.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the transcendent experience, it's like,
Yeah.
I know we just thought of the same exact thing.
Yeah. You
Because
can't force that, and you can't plan it, and decide, oh, this is the night that we're going to do this, and kind of as soon as you do that, of course you're going to mess it up. That's not how it's going to happen. And
but those transcendent nights are, yeah, those are the ones we talk about. And sometimes because our journey, I think, is, it's not like there was anything wrong before.
Right.
But it's just expanded into this new universe that we just didn't know about.
Yeah, exactly. Did not have any idea that it existed. And it's very gratifying for us, and especially for me, because every once in a while I used to get these really, really different orgasms. This would happen every once in a while, and I didn't know what did I say? I think I called them emotional
You did. You called them emotional orgasms.
orgasms.
I'm thinking to myself, oh no, that's the clitoral orgasm is the real one. She's just whatever. It's in her head, whatever. She likes it. I'm good. It's all good.
Yeah. Like, okay, glad you're having a good experience, honey, but I don't know what you're talking about. And we just realized the other day, because one of them was really memorable was our wedding night. And we had no idea what it was. But it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever felt in my life. And I mean, I can remember it so well and so clear. It was incredible. And what we realized
just last night,
he just put this together last night. I was on my period.
Oh, the plot thickens.
That makes so much more sense to us. And yeah, he's the one. He's like, oh my God, remember? Because that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
All right. Well, lots to dive in here with. And first of all, I want to come back to period sex, and I want to come back to get a sense of where you were to where you are now and some of the shifts you've had. But I wanted to say that, the place that I ultimately am aiming and hope that people get to is what you've described, where like I've never saw the logic in, say, trying to teach people like a step-by-step of how to give a blowjob or, other kinds of things. Like what I'm trying to do is clear away any kind of debris or conditioning or anything that lays over top of people's innate instincts. And when they're in touch with that, then that's what sex is. It becomes this intuitive dance and flow and tuning into your own energetic flows and the flow of the universe. And that's what you're really, the way you've described it, really embodying in your intimate life together. And that requires doing some work to clear that space and being committed to the process. And, ultimately that's the place to end up. And I love that you've come up with your own analogy around that, around jazz and letting go. Because even I feel that sometimes when I've had epic sexual experiences, and then, I'm almost like nervous to go into the next day of like, okay, like, is that gonna, where do we go from here? But I think what happens is that when you build up enough epic experiences with your partner, then you also have that proven to you that yes, like they can be all kinds of different, as you say, flavors and palettes, but they ultimately can still achieve epicness all the time. But we do let go of, okay, so we did it this way. We did 69 for an hour and then you were on your period. So we have to make sure we have period sex the next time. Like, they're great observations to add to the repertoire, into the encyclopedia. But ultimately, I love that you are committed to being faithful to the moment.
Yeah. And, and it changes you too. So you have these experiences together and you carry it with you. And I mean, we're changed. You're different. And so
the connection is different. I mean,
and then I think that every experience like that, the other side of it is just that your emotional connection is growing too. And then there's a different level of trust going in, that you can navigate these things together. And it doesn't matter what happens, we can just ride the waves together, and we're there to support each other, and what happens. And that actually, as it happens more and more, I think that it demystifies it, and it kind of it releases the pressure. There is that you don't have to go into it like, every time has to be like that. It's a little bit more, you can be a little more excited about something different happening or something.
Well, I love the variety, and I love that there's times. I mean, how many times have we just stopped afterwards and just looked at each other like, what the hell was that? As we like, like, it's like, did we find some new spot that we didn't know about before? Or whatever it is, those are the amazing times.
And then clearing, as we've been clearing blocks and things like that along the way, just getting stuff out of the way. One of the things that's really helped me being in the salons is just hearing things that just give me permission. And one of the major things was cock love. That was one of the biggest breakthrough experiences. And again, a really cool insight that he had about me long before I ever had it. Is because because going down on him is so great, and I love it so much, and I never knew that I loved it so much, but he did. Because the proof is in the pudding, and he has always known that that gets me going, because he can feel the difference, and I'm all, and I'm all revved up.
The difference in lubrication from you going down on me is,
Yeah.
it's been noticeable since like day one.
Yeah. And so that
get lubricated by giving him head.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so it's just, when I had this, during the salon, I had this wonderful realization. Oh my gosh, I love this. And I was just given, I never even knew that it was a thing, or I was not aware of it at all, but it was just something that needed permission, or there was a glass ceiling that needed to get shattered, or, something that was holding me back in that. And just being given permission to love it was so beautiful for me. But it just cracks me up that he knew all along.
Like you said, the proof was in the pudding.
Yeah,
right there.
The vagina doesn't lie. So
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So tell me a bit about then back just quickly on the period sex. I talk about that's this incredible portal for women. And when we share that with our partner, that can lead to some of the best sexual experiences ever. Like some of my top peak sexual experiences happened when I was on my period, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's always, I don't know, we've always been down.
Well, yeah, I remember it's her cousin was doing her hair on her wedding, and she's like, oh my God, I'm on my period. And she goes, well, you do it on your period, don't you? And she's like, well, yeah. So it wasn't but
yeah. But
we didn't realize, the whole idea of opening up.
Yeah, we had no idea of that. But it's funny, because I don't know if maybe you did, but I didn't know that it was a thing. I didn't know that it bothered people, and that there were people.
Oh, right.
I just kind of figured, as soon as you weren't a teenager anymore, and you weren't, goofy and awkward, that, well, are you really going to go 25% of your life where it's just off the table?
Right.
That seemed, bonkers to us. But then I can't remember who it was, but someone made a comment, just like an awful comment, like, well, yeah, like, people don't do that. Like, that's disgusting. And we just kind of grabbed each other and like kicked each other under the table, laughing, like, oh, okay.
There's a world you don't know about.
Yeah. So that, luckily, it wasn't an issue or anything. We always just,
Yeah.
I just try to time, make sure I, don't have a tampon in or anything like that, because I don't want to be dry. I just try to make sure I don't mess up my
that's another thing is I think we think about that too, as the whole idea of the summer, especially when you're on your period, because you're thinking about, well, this might happen. Maybe I'm gonna pull it out now, and give me some time before.
Whatever, yeah. I literally plan, like, I got to make sure I don't use a tampon, starting at this time of the day, because I want to make sure that I'm not, artificially dry as a bone.
But if you are, then it's not the end of the world either.
We just got to take our time.
Yeah, you just take more time.
Yeah.
Darn.
Well, I love your attitude all over the place. So let's just paint a picture of where things were before and then where they've come to. Like you've talked about in the past, having sex maybe 1 to 2 times a week. And now you're having these marathon 2 to 3 hour sex dates. You did have orgasms in the past, but now have gone to a place where you have so many in a night that you can't keep track or can't count that high. So tell us a bit about the evolution from where you were to where you've come to now.
Okay, true confessions. I don't know if I've ever even told you this. Well, that's
okay.
Good. But to me, like our old sex life, like I said, this was not a person on earth has ever heard me complain ever. It was great. But the way I had this attitude, like, well, she had 2, I had 1. She can't complain, right? She's having twice as many. That's great, right? And I'm just like, we'll just chalk that. We'll put that on my list of didn't know he didn't know. I just didn't know, and I'm like, 3, ultimate bonus. Oh my God. Because I didn't know. I didn't know what was available out there. But when we first got the email at the same time, from this holistic practitioner that we both follow. And so she sent out this email saying, "Here, there's this thing called the well-fucked woman." And I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this? Because at some point we had a discussion, let's up-level our sex life, and we're in lockdown. What better time to spend the time doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who did not
Yeah.
spend the time doing this has missed out. I
Right.
mean, seriously.
Yeah.
So, so I got this email and I'm like, well, this sounds awesome, but I can't just like go to her and be like, sign up, sign up, sign up. And so I knew she got the email and I'm just waiting. I didn't hear nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing. And like 2 weeks later, she was like, so I got this email and I'm thinking about this and da, 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 da. I'm like, I think you should do it, honey, if that's what you want to do. And but I'm thinking this is going to be awesome. And it was. I mean, it's the whole experience with the first salon was like, well, I have home play. I'm like, well, awesome, let's do it.
Yeah.
And, she come back to me. So I learned this new thing from Kim. You want me to? I'm like, please. So it's just been this journey to, clitoral orgasms here and there, and an accidental cervical once in a while.
Right.
Not a single, one of the other things I did is I read the Playboy article right away about the 3 gates. And I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about.
Right.
And now the G-spot thing, which was not part of our repertoire at all.
That's his
His
superpower.
forte.
That's the first time it was, because this is the first experience we had, because we always knew how many orgasms she had. I mean, there was like, oh, she had a couple and it's all good,
Yeah.
And we had no idea. We just
no clue.
flat out lost count.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember hearing some guy in one of the salons being like, oh, we had 60 orgasms this weekend. And I'm like,
you're like,
okay,
what?
but I mean, what do you do? It's
What
like,
does that
are you
mean?
carrying around a calculator in your pocket? Just go for it, dude.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's just been this flow, and it's,
Yeah.
and especially with the G-spot, because it's like, it's the wave, and then another wave, and then another wave.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's become, I mean, it's just something we like doing.
Yeah. And it's just opened up, so much. I mean, time-wise, I think we used to spend 45 minutes, that was kind of a normal amount of time. And now
you mean like tops?
Yeah, tops, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I mean, like a quickie would be, I mean,
I don't know,
20 minutes?
Oh my God. and now 45 minutes or an hour, that's
a quickie. That's
a quickie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't, it's,
you just, there's just not enough time. You're just getting going.
Yeah.
It's so nice. It's just such a different experience, it was always great. There was not anything wrong. It's just also to do the same thing over and over and over again. At some point, you have to learn more. And that is the point that we were at. We were at the point, we've got to do something. We have been together, the two of us, for so long. We can't learn anything new from each other. We did need some guidance. We did need some information, and we had no idea where to get it. We don't watch porn. We're not interested. And
well, you poke around on the internet and you get people,
and then
I'm a sex expert. Here's a list of tips and tricks. And tips and tricks are great, but I should say they're sometimes workable. Let's use that. But it doesn't get to the deep connection or any of the things that really make the huge difference. I mean, nobody talks about cervical orgasms hardly.
Right. But the other thing is that tips and tricks don't that's not teaching you how that's give a man a fish, not teaching him how to fish.
Right. Yes.
And that's what you're doing, is you're just opening up the universe. This is the universe that's available to you. And then you get to decide how you're going to navigate that, how you're going to do that. Yeah. And then when you have that realization that the world, it really is, it's a universe out there, and there's, an infinite number of possibilities. that's just freedom.
Yeah. Jazz is freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the ultimate musical freedom. Feels like a couple things to think about, but you just got to go for it.
Right.
I love that analogy of the fish because that's definitely my approach, is that tips and tricks are just kind of like amateur, right? That's amateur hour of, like a superficial band-aid that never really gets deeper. And that ultimately I want people to find that connection and flow within themselves. So I love that you describe it that way. One of the things that I love you said to us was that you were having a lot of crazy marathon sex dates and staying up really late. And your father took one look at you and said, "You look great. You look so well rested." And that you and your husband just about fell out of your chairs, but it was one of the best compliments you've ever had.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. I mean, I felt like, I was almost self-conscious, like I must look haggard, I must, just because the other thing is I really need my sleep, and sleep is very important to me. And I get 8 hours, like that's like non-negotiable. So I had to let that go. I had to just decide and say, this is a very important thing, and it's definitely about health. And I'm going to do this. And that's okay. I had to just, tell myself it's going to be okay. You're not going to, you're going to stay up late, and there's other benefits to it. And this is okay. We're going to play with this and see what happens. And of all people, my dad, okay,
God.
He was just like, because he's also very superstitious. So he doesn't like dole out compliments, because then something bad will happen and it'll be his fault.
Oh my gosh.
So for him to just be overcome and like kind of, I mean, luckily he didn't ask me what I was doing. But you could tell that he was just genuinely, overcome. You look amazing. I don't know if of course I'm his daughter. He tells me I'm beautiful all the time, but it was really neat.
It was pretty cool. Sincere compliment out of left field, and we were like, yeah, don't ask.
What would have been great to maybe share what it was and throw him, but he can fall off his chair.
Yeah. I think he would have.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the other effects that you've seen in your life. So as a result of really deepening and strengthening your connection together, what would you say some outer effects were? Like, Barbara, you had talked about how you are not having any PMS any longer, no cramping, you've had your skin clear up for the first time in years. Like, what are some other, because I talk a lot about how when we truly are harnessing and harvesting our sexual energy and connected, and we really revving that engine, like the sexual energy engine becomes the engine that then powers and fuels our entire lives. And then it blasts through blockages and health issues, vocational issues, financial issues, you name it. All of these things can be impacted. So what are some of the things that you've seen shift in your outer lives as a result of you becoming much more in sync in your intimate lives?
Well, we are making a very, very big change in our lives. We are moving. I just today put in my resignation at the job. 16 years.
Well, 16 years there and a couple years before.
Yeah, even longer.
Yeah,
so we're doing bold, gutsy things that I just don't know if we would have done it. I don't know.
Yeah, as a musician, one of the funny things for me is that the creativity has just come out in different ways too. I mean, the creativity is not just in the bed, but it's increased my creativity.
Yeah.
And also confidence to try new things musically as well.
Wow.
And it's been, I had an amazing experience actually just last week. I was doing a recording session with professional musicians here in Los Angeles, and I had the French horn section that John Williams uses for Star Wars. And one of the guys came up to me and complimented me on the writing and said, I really like how you did this, and this was different, and I like how you tried this, and this worked really well. And it's just, breaking out of old molds and doing new creative things. It's just been amazing for me. I've got the confidence to try that, to just feel like, hey, I know what the hell I'm doing. I can do this and I can make it happen. And it's worked out. It's worked out in other gigs that I've gotten too. I just landed that other Abbey Road job. Like Abbey Road, for a musician that's a recording musician that does orchestra music, Abbey Road is like the holy grail. It's like it's the Mecca. LA is amazing. Just amazing. But Abbey Road is like, that's what everyone wants. And so it's pretty cool that I'm returning to Abbey Road for this other thing that just popped up like a month ago. So when these things like that happen, I just, it's, my brain is still struggling with the idea of, did I get this call because I had great sex last night? But the creativity, the confidence, everything that comes along with that, it spills into everything that our life is about.
Yeah.
And what Barbara didn't tell you about is, it's a whole new career change and everything, brand new. And we have literally lived in the same small suburb of LA our entire lives.
Yeah.
We've never, it's ridiculous. What's the farthest you've ever lived from?
20 minutes away.
Yeah, me too. So this is like, for us, we're very much, okay,
this is just our little,
this is our little pocket of the valley. And
we've been here all our lives and never thought we'd go anywhere. But this year has been,
this year,
obviously this year has been the year to, completely, take you apart and put you back together. And
this has been
but to have this, education this year is, it was so timely because I think it really helped to solidify, what's really important to us, and our,
For sure.
family unit, stronger. And see, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to homeschool our kids, which I never thought I'd be able to do, which doesn't make any sense, but it's just one of those funny things you think you can't do, but of course you can. And just having the guts to do what is right and to do what is necessary and what is important. And also just to know what's important to you, to really, have to weed through everything and decide this is actually what matters to me. And even having this, this chance to talk to you today was so timely. This is a really emotional week for me. I just feel like I'm, being, pulled apart in so many different ways. And this was such a grounding thing that this was happening. And I was crying off and on all day today because I put in my resignation, and it's a big deal. And it was just so nice to have this beautiful reminder that this is why you're doing it. And yes, it's sad, and you close a chapter and you open up something new, and it just kind of helped keep me grounded in, this is why we're doing it, and this is all the good that's coming out of it. So
yeah, our priorities have shifted this year.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that. And I like what you said about, did I get this job offer because I had great sex last night? Because I've seen that happen so much where, early on in my work, when I was working with couples and when they were self-employed, because self-employed people, there's a variable, right? Like where you have work, you don't have work, you have income, you don't have income. And so it was easy to measure it with them, where with someone who had a steady job, maybe it wasn't as obvious, right? Where I would be working with people call, and we would hit a breakthrough in our work together. They would hit a breakthrough in bed, and boom, they would get an offer. They would get a phone call. They would get a job. And I was like, and they were a couple, they worked together. So, they were their business, but it was so obvious to me after that. It was like clockwork, right? Like we would clear something, and literally the next day they would get some kind of opportunity would fall in their laps, because their lap is what attracted it, right? So I really love what you've said about the foundation, the renewed, strongly built foundation of your relationship has now become this place that you can now springboard off of and make all of these very huge, important, life-changing decisions in your world. And that you feel, and this is also what I see, is that people get propelled by that energy. They're not trying to do big things. They're not trying to make it just happens. They are now propelled forward by their own inner life force, or the universal life force that they are now in touch with. And they have this superhuman kind of energy that they can do these things. And like you said, courage and confidence. So I really salute you, because again, the proof is in the pudding. If you're doing the work and the play in bed, then that's what shows up in your outer life. That's why I asked you about that. And I didn't even know all of those things as I was asking you, right? Like I was just like, let me see. I'm sure, I mean, I knew a little bit, but to hear all of that is really spectacular.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I don't know.
Is there anything else you want to ask us?
Well, I'm just skimming through some of the notes that I had about you guys, and I think we've covered most of everything, like how you've gone from having sex 1 to 2 times a week, and now it's more like 5 times a week, 2 to 3 hour regular sex dates. I love what you said, that an hour, 45 minutes is now what you would consider a quickie. And then I think also to highlight this, as you said, that you've been together for 20 years, and that now you're saying you showered together the way we did before we had kids. We hang out naked whenever possible. We compliment each other. We flirt. We talk. It's been unbelievable to have the excitement of a new relationship coupled with the familiarity and closeness of a 20-year connection. So I love that, because that's one of those mythological things that I often break down, where people are like, oh no, it's just not possible after 20 years, 30 years, even 10 years to have a really thriving, alive relationship. So what would you say to that?
Well, it's funny, because the 20-year thing, when we first got together, I mean, it went from a conversation about what's happening here to, within a few weeks, like, I love you, I'm crazy about you, that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe a few months after that, she came to me at one point, she says, so like 20 years from now. And I'm like, well, hold on, this is like a few months in. And she's like, I said, are you comfortable with that, saying that 20 years from now? She goes, absolutely. I mean, we just knew.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that 20 years from now. Oh, another thing. Oh, that's another thing. That's so funny. You're like, so like 20 years from now, you're still going to be like, wanting to go for it. And here we are 20 years later,
Right.
and it is the best sex of our lives. I mean, my God. And here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were very committed to that. I think our families and kind of our experiences and our baggage and stuff that we came with, we both very consciously wanted to create something that was different. We very much were dedicated to forever, and we always have been. But it's work. It's not like it's a walk in the park all the time. We definitely have our share of of valleys, and but I mean, I can't say how many times have we just thought we're so lucky that we have each other, because it's so rough out there.
Well, and it's like your friend said. I mean, she's like, what you have is what everyone wants.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to hear.
That was really sweet.
And I agree.
Thanks.
Oh, look at them. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much for letting us into your world and sharing what you've cultivated. I mean, you guys are just so radiant and beautiful that I can see the well fuckedness written all over you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The Coming Together for Couples Salon opens next week. This is the how-to guide for cultivating the holy fuck in your relationship. In this 10-week online salon, we cover everything from energy orgasms to tantric sex techniques and how to amplify your masculine and feminine energies so that you can go from being buddies to sparks flying, can't keep your hands off each other, super power couples. To watch the free video preview series and get started tonight on some new techniques, go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and then click on Coming Together. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe and also leave a review. And send someone else the gift of a healthy libido and an off-the-charts love life by sharing this episode with them. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, many happy orgasms.